Okay, everybody, how's it, guys and girls and everybody else out there? Thank you very much for tuning in once again. So this is where the channel starts getting really interesting, and these are the types of videos that and topics that I personally really enjoy. So the loop, where this is probably one of the most discussed, debated and contentiously spoken about things in the saltwater fly fishing world. There are many ways to do this. Once again, as you'll see in the video that Cullan and myself did on Alphonse last year, once again you'll see in that video the way that we do it is sort of folding the fly line in two. And there are, like I said, numerous other ways to do this. However, the one thing that is really important for you guys watching this to understand is that the things that we're talking about on here and the things that I like to talk about and the way that I like to rig my gear is something that we've been doing on the water for many years. These are systems and methods that have been proven more than I can't even begin to explain how many fish over how many years, these knots in this system has worked. You can imagine a group of fly fishing guides sitting on location for 10-11 months of the year. This is all that these guys and that we used to live, breathe, talk. It's all we would do is try and establish and figure out ways that work and things that are, that don't fail under immense amounts of pressure. We have guests from all over the world that have unbelievably high expectations. Everybody wants to go home with a really cool fish, and we don't have the sort of luxury of letting it fail and next time, man. It could be the only opportunity some of our guests get, and it could be the only opportunity, if we do get the very rare opportunity to actually fish on location. If I put a nice big brush fly in front of a big GT, I want to be sure that when the fish eats the fly, I'm in good standing and all my tackle and gear and kit is all ready to go. So once again, this is not saying it's the best method. I'm sure many of you out there will have something to say about this, but there are essentially two ways that I'm going to sort of briefly touch on. After this video and the one with Cullan showing how he folds in half and I'll sort of catch up on that related information. After that, I'll do another follow-up video where I'll show you how I splice the backing end onto my fly line. So the backing we use on some of these reels, on the heavier stuff, is mostly hollow core. So feeding the fly line into the hollow core, probably a section of about 300 to 500 millimeters, fed in and whipped at the end with literally fly tying thread. It's unbelievably strong, super smooth on the back end, but on the front end, on the head side of the fly line, I know some of the guys, especially on Cosmo, some of the areas the guys fishing for GTs is super corally, lots of rock and really just angry sort of coral heads and bommies and stuff. In that particular scenario, a lot of the guys are using different loop sections in the front. The sort of spliced way seems to work really well. For those of you from the conventional background, you'll understand what I'm talking about, sort of wind on leader style. Sort of works really well in the front. And that's purely because if the fish does go through the brick and you have an opportunity to loosen up the drag and try unstitch, swim it out, or sort of whatever you need to do, there's often nothing to bump up against something or get stuck in something to pot it off. Those are isolated scenarios and specific environments. So if you're fishing in areas, specifically fishing for GTs or other big angry fish in really rocky, heavy environment, I'd say the second video following up on the wind-on style leader, the leader attachment on the front, might be more applicable to that sort of scenario. But for your general everyday out there sort of GT fishing or tuna or anything, sails, wahoo, it doesn't matter. This setup that we're going through now is unbelievably strong, works really well. It's been proven, it's been tested, and it's a really simple, fast and efficient way of doing things. So I hope you enjoy it. Before I switch over to the video from Instagram, I'm just gonna run through a few little odds and ends that I have on my table here in front of me. I'll show you a quick little example of what I'm talking about on my personal reel here. This is my Shilton SR12. 12-8 reel. It's literally like the AK-47 of fly reels, my personal favorite. I do have a series of seal drags as well. I have some Makos, a couple hatches, but this guy has seen more action than most of those. I mean, honestly, guys, these things are just, anyway. So that's another topic for another video. But over and above that, you guys will see on the front end of my 12-weight setup, I have. It's a bit full, that's why it's a bit tight, this fly line. I think it's an airflow sort of big water taper or something. Just we were using this offshore for sales. Floats high, very grippy and really good. But you'll see on the front end of this, we've done a sort of doubled up loop section. And then right on the back end of this, I've got some 200-pound Cullan braid that I've sort of with an FG knot joined my original backing, which is 100-pound. I've got about 20 meters or so of the 200-pound, and then I've spliced the back end in. So I'll do another follow-up video on how I do the back end on this after this video, but just to show you, you know, the front end of my personal go-to standard every day is this sort of double folded loop. Guys, just sorry, I think this is Scientific Anglers big water taper, not airflow, excuse me. Yeah, Sci Anglers, pretty cool line. I think it's the one with the 100-pound core. It's really strong. Not ideal to cast, but gets the job done, that's for sure. Then over and above that, we've got, this is just the fly line that we use as an example. Personally, these are one of my favorites, the Cullan 12-weight GT Tuna. Honestly, just gets the job done. I mean, if you're in any tropical environment and you need to turn over big flies, pull hard, reliable, just works every time. So in the video, this is the line that Cullan's using. These are what we used in the Seychelles for many, many, many years, still do. They're absolutely excellent, and you definitely can't go wrong. And then this stuff is what we use to put to sort of sleeve the fly line. This is also from Cullan. It's braided mono looping material. It's 50-pound. You don't get it much stronger than this, but it is nice and thick and easy to work with. So it really acts as an awesome sleeve for the fly line, especially the front end. Like I said, on my personal reels and some of the other stuff, we don't do, you know, I splice the back end, but for guests, generally speaking, on location, this is what we use. We use this on the front and the back, fold both ends of the fly line. For those of you that are interested, just remember, guys, the GT Tuna lines and some of the other ones as well do not come with welded loops. So the heavy stuff, 11, 12 and plus, often don't come with welded loops. So this is pretty important stuff. If you pick this up from your fly shop and you're not letting the guys in store doing it for you, just remember that this is something you're going to have to be able to do at home. If you're obviously traveling to destinations like the Seychelles and stuff, you know, there's a high possibility that your guides, I mean not high, but they will obviously do this for you. A lot of the times we will strip everything off guests' reels and so on, and we'll redo it just to be sure, but to also, you know, we know what to look for, we know what we're after, and if we've seen it's done very well or sort of fits within parameters that we're happy with, for sure we'll leave it as such. So yeah, guys, without further ado, we'll jump straight into the video now with myself and Cullan, with Cullan explaining and showing how he does the loops. I know some of you guys might have seen this already. It was on Instagram. Geez, must be almost a year ago now. But we would get, like I said earlier, we were getting some interesting questions about it again. So I just thought we'd follow up on that. And after this, I will then do another video. I'll show you guys how I sleeve the backing end on these reels. But anyway, enjoy the video. Once in this one, again, guys, just sorry about the focus hunting. It will definitely get better after this video. But enjoy, sit back, relax, and we'll catch up after the video. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, how's it? Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. So first of all, thanks for all the comments and likes and shares and all those things. We obviously really appreciate it. We hope everybody's all cool at home and things like that. We've got Cullan with us today.
How's it going, guys?
We're going to go through some loops. One of our guests, Miles, reached out yesterday and asked us to go through our sort of the way we like to do loops on our 12-weight lines. Obviously, sort of really important. We don't really trust the factory loops much, but and like for example, the Cortland stuff, it doesn't even come with loops. So there are many ways to skin a cat, guys. This is how we like to do it. So without further ado, Cullan, over to you, bro. Give us a go. Let us know. Show us how you do it.
All right. So like Kyle's saying, there's a lot of ways to do this. This is the way that myself and Kyle personally like to do it. We're not saying the other ways are incorrect, but this is the way we do it. So we've got this looping sleeve. You get this made out of Kevlar, mono. This one is monofilament at the moment. We're going to try and slide the sleeve onto the fly line. We usually like to make it fairly long personally. So you get the sleeve up nice and high.
So the sleeve stuff is basically just hollow, and all we're doing is sort of trying to splice the fly line, sort of thread the fly line through, and basically just putting a nice coating over the line itself, and we'll sort of carry on.
Yeah, once you do get it up, most important thing, we've had a chat between us, and it's got to be your nail knot. So I'd say that while you're doing this, maybe before you get started, have a good practice with some braid, do a good couple of nail knots, and yeah, once you got your nail knots up to scratch, it's pretty straightforward. It takes a bit of time. Don't rush. That's the most important thing. I think take your time with it. The loops are pretty important, especially when you're hooking a big fish. It is one of the places that if your loop is not up to scratch, chances are you can lose a fish. So we try and do our best to keep our loops, at a specific level. So let's just try and almost done. Yeah.
So like I mentioned, like obviously, we have essentially three joins. You got your leader to fly line to backing, and those are sort of really important. And for us, what's really critical is to try to keep things as strong and smooth and sort of as simple as possible. So back over to Cullan to see what you're doing here, bro.
Yeah, so we've got the sleeve on the fly line. We're going to double it over at the moment. This is the backing side. A lot of guys would prefer to do it a different way here, but I still feel like this is the strongest way to do it. It's going to make your guide sing a little when it does come onto the backing, but I've never personally had it break, or I've never ended up losing a fish doing it this way, so this is the way I like to do things.
And one of the big advantages with this, guys, is the one way to make, you can obviously make your loops and put loops on with different nail knots and stuff. The one major advantage we found with doing this is once you've joined the backing to the fly line with either just a standard loop to loop or a cat's paw, which is sort of going through twice, it is basically impossible for it to suck the tag end through if the nail knots fail. So, like Cullan said, practice your nail knots, get them really nice and tight and neat and clean. And with braid, you don't need to do, lots of wraps. Only like, you saw Cullan only did like 4 or 5 wraps there. Makes a big difference, nice and easy, and sort of gets them really small and nice and tight and pretty smooth. But that's the advantage of sort of doubling up. It no matter what happens there, if your nail knots fail, whatever it is, once the braid hooks onto the fly line cannot get sucked through. So it's definitely, in our opinion, the strongest. Whether it's the neatest, cleanest, fanciest looking. It's a topic of another discussion, but Miles asked for bomb-proof, and this is our sort of bomb-proof way. And then you do 2-3 nail knots, sort of.
Yeah, it's just up to personal preference. It depends on how big you personally want your loop at the top to be. Some people like to have a bigger loop like this, or a smaller loop at the top. But it's all up to personal preference. I mean, as long as your nail knots are tight and you're happy with your nail knots, then, like Kyle says, this is pretty much bomb-proof.
Yeah, and also, guys, we're using these sort of splicing kit. I'll put a couple links in the below, or sort of let you guys know exactly what they are. But sort of nice little looping tool to help do the nail knots. But for those of you that don't know how to do nail knots, it's really simple. There's many videos on YouTube. You don't need any fancy tools to do this with, guys. often we do this on the flats with just a second piece of braid or something looped underneath the other piece of braid you're wrapping, or a piece of mono or whatever it is. So it really isn't, you don't need any fancy tools or anything to do this method. And that's one of the reasons we like it so much. We all carry essentially everything you see out here with us in our backpacks. So if we get, if we lose a fish in the coral or something happens, we can at least sort of get set up again and get ready to go. So, but for us, doubling up seems to be definitely the answer. But again, we'll say again, guys, chatting to some of the other boys, some guys like some of the Cortland backing we're using on our reels is already hollow core. So on some other reels and setups we'll literally splice the fly line straight into the backing, so you will have no loops. It'll be the smoothest join ever. So like we mentioned, many ways to skin cats, guys, but this is definitely plain, simple, straightforward, very easy to do on the flats when you're sort of in a rush. So really easy and nice and strong as well. So I think just one more nail knot and then
we should be good to go.
You're done. So again, guys, as we're going on, if there's any questions with just like this, please let us know. We're happy to sort of go through all these things and do them again or answer anything. If there's anything you guys would really like to know with regards to how this all works and all the rest of that, we'll put a couple sort of close-ups in a few minutes as well, just to let you guys know, show you exactly how the nail knots look once we're done here. And once again, guys, thanks for tuning in.
That's it, eh?
Yeah, that's it. That's proper strong brew. Cheers. That's it, no worries. Trim the tags. Nice and lacquer.
And then it's really up to you. I mean, you can clean it up a little bit, make it look as nice as you want it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be pretty to catch fish.
Honestly, guys, you'll see with our whole GT rigs, what we've really done is just try to simplify things as much as possible. There's we're very fortunate. The guide team, we've got guys from all over the world that come from lots of different sort of backgrounds of different types of fishing, whether it's rock and surf or spinning or sort of competitive fly fishing, whatever it is. So we've managed to sort of copy all these things from different facets of fishing, and really this works really, really well.
Yeah.
So that's it.
There we go.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers,
and we'll catch up later. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Good job.
Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As you can see through that video, we sort of touched base on a couple of other ways, but also mostly focused on how to fold and the reasons behind why we do it on both ends like that. The one thing that I needed to just quickly touch base on as well is bear in mind that if you do the splicing side like we do, that I'll do in another video, just remember that if you do break a fly line in that scenario, if you don't have your gear, your rigging kit, your looping needles and splicing needles, your braid scissors and material and things with you in your backpack or on the skiff, that way can be really challenging to get fishing again. Obviously as a guide and as a personal, if I'm fishing in certain scenarios, I'll carry a lot of this stuff with me. It's not heavy, it's not crazy, it's quite easy, and especially if you're fishing from a skiff, like if you're tarpon fishing somewhere, or a lot of the times, very rarely are you all on foot all day. Only select places, especially a lot of the destinations in Seychelles, places like Astove and stuff. If you're fishing the east of Astove, or even the big walks that we do on Farquhar, those areas, you need to have the stuff with you if you're fishing that way. If you're fishing looped on both ends, I'll elaborate on that later, but if you're fishing looped on both ends, it's really easy. If you break a fly line or something happens, you get a line wrap and it parts half your line away, to change the line is really quick. You take a spare out your backpack, it's already been looped, unwind your reel, cut the braid off, redo the bimini or double bimini, and put your cat's paw out there, Matt, Solon, that's for you, and you're all solid and all ready to go. You know, honestly, the double folded way is really just unbelievably bomb proof. It, like I said, it's not the prettiest, it's not the smartest looking or fanciest or most technical way of doing things, but it is literally the most bomb-proof method that we've come across. Even if you take a fly line, if you want to test this for yourself at home, you just take a fly line with no loops on it, like this one, fold it in half and put a loop to loop, like a double loop, like a cat's paw, on the end of that, and pull it nice and slowly and seat it together, even with that tag end dangling, with no sleeve, no nail knots, nothing. There is no ways it's going to suck that tag end through. So once again, even if this thing, we've had pieces of fly line come back where, you know, half of it's been through the coral and it's frayed and the tag end is dangling and it just doesn't come apart. The challenge where if you use a sleeve, if your nail knots are not good, and you make a mistake with those nail knots, or one fails for whatever reason running up and through the guides, as soon as that one of those nail knots fail that holds that sleeve in place, it sort of performs a Chinese finger trap, as soon as one of those things fail, your loop is gone and the game is over. So those are a few small things to remember. Same with the looping material you're using. If you're using 50 pound and you're on a 50 pound core fly line, it's kind of okay, but very often, a lot of the fly lines nowadays are really heavy core, 60, 70, 80 pound plus core. The backing we're using on this stuff is super intense. And bear in mind, guys, this whole concept is mostly focused on really heavy stuff, 12 weight and plus. Well, I mean, 11-ish, big GT stuff on foot. That's sort of what we're talking about here. The lighter stuff, 9 weights, this is my personal 9 weight as well. This, I use braid, and I make loops out of braid, and I'll show you guys in another video how we do the 9 weight, the lighter stuff. It works unbelievably well. It's super neat, very clean, and very strong as well. But for the 9 weights and the lighter stuff, it's not super critical to be as intense with how strong these things are. Often not often, most of the time you're at, as much drag as you can, or you're pulling really hard, whatever it is. So you need to be sure the stuff is really, really, really strong. So that's all I'm saying, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please, comment, let us know. If there's anything you guys would like any more clarity on, don't hesitate. Shout in the bottom and I'll happily follow up on that and try see if we can give you guys a bit more information and explain things a bit more clearly, or help you out. If you have any particular sort of scenario relevant challenges or questions, please just comment down below and I'm happy to see if I can answer those questions. If I can't, I'll reach out to someone else and see if we can figure out something together and get to an answer for that. So once again, thanks for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed that. The usual, like, subscribe, all the rest of that. And once again, thanks guys, and we'll catch up later. Cheers.